Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the June 3rd meeting of the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee. I'd like to call this meeting to order, please. We just finished witnessing the large turnout. We had a very large turnout for the flag raising to celebrate Pride Month. I will discuss that later on towards at the end under new business. Right now, I'd like to ask members if there's any disclosure of pecuniary interest for anyone.
My name tag is over there. Should I?
It's all right.
Sit over there or bring
No,
it over here?
you more than what.
Yeah,
You'd
okay,
sit where you
cool.
like. Seeing there are no disclosures, moving forward to the approval of the agenda for today. And the resolution being that the agenda for the June 3rd, 2024 Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee being approved. May I have someone to move that, please? Moved by Councillor Sharp, seconded by Vice Chair Brown. All in favor? Carried. And the approval of the minutes. Resolution being put forward that the minutes of the December 4th, 2023 Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee meeting be approved. May I have someone to move that, please? Member Mundy, second. Vice Chair Brown, all in favor? Carried. Seeing that we don't have any public input, is there anything that was of the last minute or anything that, no, none from Director Grimmin or Clerk McChesney. No delegations as well. No apparent correspondence since the agenda went out. And items for consideration was requested, I believe, that Director Grimmin, if she would be so kind as to provide an overview on the current mandate and responsibilities of the committee, please.
Thank you, through you, the chair, to the committee. So just to kind of back us up, and I know we've had a new member join us, which is wonderful. Just to discuss, the mandate truly of this committee and what we're here to achieve. So the committee itself, and this is listed on the city's website. We've got all the committees kind of broken down and listed in terms of what they're here to achieve. So it talks about the fact that we're here to provide advice, feedback, and make recommendations to council on issues related to equity, diversity, and inclusion in Quinte West, promote Quinte West as a welcoming city for all, provide perspectives to guide diverse decision-making, and identify barriers and propose solutions to improve EDI in the city. So I know those are our statements, and we can certainly discuss and elaborate on some of those statements today. I know some of the conversations that we've had here at the committee level so far, and we've had very few meetings since the committee's been established, but I know there's been conversations about the idea of getting a calendar of cultural observances kind of established for the city. So that would be something that would fall certainly within the mandate and align with the principles of this committee. So if that was an initiative that the committee wanted to undertake, it doesn't necessarily need to be something that every single member gets together and kind of pulls together, but perhaps that's a smaller group that works away and brings that back to the committee for their consideration. I know Member Goral just mentioned that they've got access to that from, I think, a previous employment situation. So maybe that's something that we can review. And I think Councillor Boyce and maybe a few others also circulated some others through various universities, school boards, their calendars of cultural observances as well. So those are the kinds of activities that certainly would be well suited for this committee, and in light of us being kind of newly established, those might be kind of jumping off points to really start to sink our teeth into some of the other work that we can achieve. I also just want to talk about the work that this committee might do that might look like event or programming type activities. So as it stands currently, we don't have an assigned budget through the city's operating budget for equity, diversity, and inclusion initiatives specifically. We have special event budgets, we've got tourism-related budgets and different areas like that. But given that this committee was established and we hadn't brought forward any projects and initiatives yet, this is really a great opportunity and time to start to consider what we might like to be implementing over the course of the committee's term. We are in a perfect timing situation right now where we're starting to pull together considerations for the 2025 operating budget. So if there are any projects or initiatives that the committee is considering, then over the next month or two, perhaps those could be brought to myself, and I can make sure that we look at bringing forward considerations as part of the operating budget that comes to council later this year.
What would that deadline look like that you would need that by? Because you sort of said like over the next couple months, but like I need a date or that's just going to keep getting pushed. Do you have like a date?
That's certainly through you, Ms. Brown. I would say by the end of July would be ideal that we could have those rough figures. And again, they don't need to be exact. If, we are considering a project that might be a few $1,000s and we wanted to allocate a $5,000 budget for that just to give us some wiggle room, then that's certainly information that we can bring forward and earmark for the budget.
Thanks.
I'll just make one further comment. Certainly the committee here in Quinte West, although we're new and established, the idea of EDI committees is not new or unique only to Quinte West. And, I really would encourage the committee to reach out to neighboring municipalities where we know we do have, strong partners and allies in this space. Certainly the city of Belleville, I'll just use them for an example, has had a EDI committee established a little bit longer, and there might be some key members of that community and committee that we can reach out to just to kind of run some ideas off of and figure out where might be a good starting point for some of these projects and initiatives.
Does anyone have any questions further for Director Grimmin in regards to that?
Am I supposed to say through the chair to Director Grimmin? Was I right? I was trying to think back to our first meeting. Are we, so I'm glad to hear about just the possibility of making requests around budget needs. Are we also able to ask for help from city staff to research possibilities of different projects? Is that, or would it more be we would ask for money that would then be allocated to have staff work on something like that? Or I couldn't remember how that worked.
Through the chair to Reverend Mundy. Yeah, a bit of both, really. I think certainly there's no harm in the committee doing their own research and bringing back suggestions to this group, and certainly to staff as well. If there is something a little bit more detailed that we need to provide a staff report on, that might be a bit of a collaborative effort where we're working together to formalize that, and certainly the role of staff would be to formalize that into a report back to this committee and then on to council.
I have a question, Chair.
Go ahead, member.
Hi, sorry. As I'm getting to understand, because I didn't understand really what our role was coming here in December. So if we can do this, can we do this off-site? Can we do this here, like a smaller group meeting within our committee to come up with and maybe do research and what have you? Like those resources, can we use city facilities, or can we do this offsite as a committee?
through the chair. That could be arranged here. Certainly, we have some spaces available here. You can also do that off-site. We would just ask that we make sure that there's not quorum for a meeting of the committee and that there be kind of just less than quorum if you are getting together in smaller groups. And I'll let the clerk make any further comments to mine.
Yeah, just further that from Director Grimman is that we're still required to follow the rules laid out in the Municipal Act. So certainly if we wanted to create some subcommittees, smaller committees that work to establish and work on specific projects, we can certainly do that, but we just can't have more than, more than half, so quorum, meeting off-site, because then it's considered a meeting, and then we get into trouble with our meeting investigators and whatnot, so.
Thank you.
Question then, what's quorum for us?
Quorum is, I believe, 5.
So we can't have more than 5 or less than 5?
So if 4 would be the most you could have.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Councillor Sharp?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair, or sorry, Madam Chair, apologize. I really like the idea, we're seeing that many of our committees of council are forming working groups with volunteers to get some research and work done and some programming ideas. And ultimately, it always comes back to the full committee and council for approval. But we're finding, or at least I think we are finding, that our volunteers that Tom
Moved by by Member Gorell. Second, please. By Councillor Boyce. All in favor? Approved, carried.
Madam Chair, we need to designate the working group members by motion.
My apologies,
That's
thank you.
okay, so-
Member Gorell, since this was your idea back in December, would you like to lead that committee?
Absolutely.
Would someone move that? Am I able to move that as the chair? I am not. Would someone be willing to move? Moved by Member Mundy, seconded by Councillor Boyce. All in favor? Carried. Do we need further members or just the one? Yes. Any other volunteers that would like to work with Brandy and Isaac? Okay, perfect. Move to include Brandy and Isaac on that team. Moved by Councillor Sharp, seconded by Councillor Boyce. All in favor? Carried. And then they can leave the details up to you. Director Grimman, just for point, just so that people aren't reaching out well-intended to different staff members, can we say that all questions and that will be referred directly through you and then you will fan out if that's...
Yes, through the chair to the group. Yes, I'm good with that. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
And as well, if the working group can come up with a budgetary sum that's requested, the staff will be able to look at that then.
Thank you, Councillor Boyce.
Are you, sorry,
Councillor O'Neill?
thank you, Madam Chair. A working amount for each event would probably be the best. Yes.
Chair, is there somebody that we can sort of discuss? Because I haven't done a city budget. So what kind of, when we look at it or look at one event, who can we sort of talk to to get some ideas about budgeting and what, it could be, say, we'll suggest a multicultural event happening in the city. Is it downtown? What's the resources that's going to cost? So I'd like to be able to get some cost factors so that we know what we're talking about. I don't want to say it's going to cost $5,000 when in reality it could be 15, right? So we'd like to sort of have is there somebody that we can connect with?
Through the chair, I'm happy to have those discussions, and then I can engage any other additional staff as necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Grimmin. Moving forward, proclamation request for June to December 24. The resolution being that the committee requests staff to submit proclamation requests on behalf of the committee for council approval for the National Indigenous History Month, June 21st as the National Indigenous Peoples Day, and June 27th as the Multiculturalism Day in Canada. May I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Sharp, seconded by Member Gorell.
I asked to make an amendment to, there were just 2 days that I've been wondering about if it could be added in at this point, or are we?
We can certainly amend the resolution, absolutely.
I guess the one day that I was wondering about, 2 days, one was November 20th in terms of the Transgender Day of Remembrance. And then the other day being the Journée Franco-Ontarienne, the Franco-Ontarian Day, September 25th.
Thank you for the additional days. And certainly, if there is other days that come up that we wish, we can always submit those proclamations online as well, or bring them to the attention of Director Grimmin for further direction. But certainly, we can amend that. So the amendment to the resolution to include the days mentioned by and requested by Member Mundy. All in favor to the amended? Carried.
And then do we have to vote on were we voting on the amendment or voting on the whole motion?
The amended motion.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Is-
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is that
Yeah, you
okay?
voted
Yeah.
on the motion as amended.
Thank you. New business. In December, it was a surprise. We had a new member join us, and although welcoming, and we wish Stacy well, it was an oversight totally on my part, and I should have had requested that Ray be given an opportunity just to introduce himself to the committee and to the community, and all his experience, et cetera. Welcome officially again.
Thank you. Do you want to hear something about me? Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Listen, it's a pleasure to be on this committee, and we love living in Quinte West. My husband and I moved here 2 years ago, 2 years July, so we met you. I'm a district manager with Home Depot. I've been with them for 23 years this month, 50 years in retail. And I run I was transferred out here because my region is from Pickering to Kingston to Peterborough. I got 10 stores. I do about 800 million volume a year. I've got 1,300 associates and managers and everything else that I'm responsible for. And we kind of looked at Brighton on the map because of driving. And we ended up buying this wonderful house just up the hill on Queen Street in Quinte West, which I wasn't aware was Trenton at the time. And this is where we ended up. We bought it online. And just from the pictures, but this is where we ended up. And, we were a little bit worried about coming here. We said, careful, you're going to Trenton. I said, why does it have such a bad rap? It's a beautiful city. It's a Air Force town. We got wonderful people. And, to see the flag being raised, I've been out on gay since I was 18. My husband and I are celebrating 25 years together this month. So to be in this great city that we want to retire and live the rest of our lives in, really happy to be here, and that's why I want to be part of this, just to be part of the fabric of the city. So it's just a little bit about me. So thank you.
Thank you, and welcome again, and we look forward to you and your subcommittee coming up with some fabulous ideas for the upcoming calendar and upcoming events. If I may too, just sort of touch on the, again, back to the flag raising outside. What a wonderful turnout it was, and the theme, Can't Stop the Music. As soon as he said the Can't Stop the Music, I'm sorry, it goes through your head because it's one of those popular songs. Can't Stop the Music, We'll Still Hear, and such. I was speaking with a couple of the participants and representatives from the couple of community groups, community partners, and I was wondering if we could, one of the women I was speaking with, Jennifer Smith, in regards to, she was calling on behalf of volunteers for the Bay of Quinte Pride. Is it possible that we could put their website, their website under somewhere on ours, so that for information, not only for parents and partners, but for information on upcoming Pride events, not just for the parade and such this weekend?
Through you, Madam Chair, certainly can take that back to our team. Yeah, there might be even some other ways that we might be able to support them getting the word out about needing volunteers and just promoting the various activities that they have going on. So I'll certainly take that back to our communications group.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Any other new business that anyone wishes to discuss? Any new business that, Councillor Sharp?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to take this opportunity to acknowledge Brandy Brown, one of our members. Earlier this year, Brandy hosted an event at these four walls for National Black History Month with a group, I believe a nonprofit group, and they provided great education, also fun, food, and an opportunity, and it was open to everyone. And I think when we work with the private sector and individuals, it was a wonderful event. I was there for a short time, but it really was wonderful, and I just wanted to thank our committee member.
Thank you, and thank you to Brandy.
Thank you.
Member Mundy? I had just wanted to ask, I wasn't sure what the best method would be to raise different possibilities for our committee, and there were just a couple ideas that I had, and maybe I can just put them out there, and then if that needs to be dealt with outside of this meeting, that's fine. But just in terms of what you were speaking about, Director Grimmin, in terms of the resources from other cities, I've kind of been looking at different communities like under 100,000 people, like Stouffville and Newmarket, and I've noticed that a lot of them have EDI plans where, and I was wondering if that would be something that we could, as a municipality, develop. And I know we have certain plans because I'm on the Housing Action Committee, and so I know that there's a plan for housing action, and I just wasn't sure, would that be something that we would suggest here that would then be taken to council, or is that, how would that potentially work if we wanted to develop sort of a more comprehensive plan for the EDI work of Quinte West?
Thank you, through the chair to Member Mundy. Yes, that's definitely a request that we can receive at the committee level here, and certainly provide direction back to the staff team here. Depending on the scale and scope, often those plans are quite involved. We, at present, wouldn't have staff resources in-house. There might be a cost that we would need to consider, whether that we could take that work on with some additional staff, or look at, often municipalities will consult with a consulting firm to develop a plan. So we could certainly look at all those different options and bring back information to the committee about about how we might undertake that if that's a recommendation that the committee wants to put on the floor.
Should I make that as a motion then?
You certainly can.
Yeah. Okay, well then I'll make a motion that we bring to staff, is that correct? In terms of the proposal of creating a more comprehensive equity, diversity, inclusion plan for the city of Quinte West. I'll move that.
And may I have a seconder, please? Councillor O'Neill. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
And could I make one other
Absolutely.
question? Just with this being Indigenous History Month in Canada, one of the things that we often speak about in terms of in the church where I work, because sadly, so many churches were part of the residential school just travesty that took place in our country, and trying to make reparations. But I know that there are calls to the churches, but there are also 5 calls in the, I think it's 92 recommendations in the TRC process to municipalities. And I wanted to ask the question if those particular calls to municipal governments, if they had been looked at our municipal level, and if not, if that might be a project that we might also want to undertake in terms of those 5 proposals. And again, I think that would be something that would probably take place over a longer time scale, but.
I'm not quite sure how to, I mean, that would be something that Director Grimmin would be able to advise of?
Thank you, through the chair. Yes, I've been back at the city only for a few years, so I can certainly go back and refer to my other colleagues just on what's been looked at over the number of years. I know some of those discussions did end up resulting in the city and the creation of the city's land acknowledgement, which is acknowledged before every council meeting and certainly listed on our website. And as I mentioned, I'll certainly refer back to my colleagues and can bring back information at the next council meeting or the next committee meeting.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Then, if I may, I just, again, to ask. So last year, when we had the flag raising, Stacy, our former chair, she had brought up in regards to the flag with the triangle in the corner. And there was, does the city not keep the same flags or reuse the same flags every year? I see that it was not any less important, but it was, I thought this was the more progressive and inclusive flag. And I thought we had purchased and used that last year. And I was just wondering why we had a new flag raised this year.
I can speak to that through you to the committee. Typically for flag raisings, we ask the group who makes the proclamation to provide us with the flag, and then generally we give it back to them after. I think we only have 1 or 2 flags that we maintain because they're just ones that we've done every year. But yeah, like I said, typically the group will give us the flag and then we give it back to them after.
Thank you. I wasn't aware of that. Thank you for the information. And if there's nothing further, if I could have a motion to adjourn, please. So moved by Councillor O'Neill, second. Member Gorell, all in favor? Carried.